In today's video, I'm going to give you a rundown of the latest live streaming solution from the folks at YoloLiv. This is the YoloBox Extreme. And guess what? I'm using it right now. Let's get into it. Welcome back, folks. My name's Shane. This is the YoloBox Extreme hooked up with the optional YoloDeck, which we'll talk about later. This is the latest live streaming and ISO recording solution from the folks at YoloLiv that now features 8 HDMI inputs. I've tested and reviewed almost all of the previous versions, and you can kind of think of this as the new big brother to the YoloBox Ultra, which is still a really great unit. While I'm using the YoloBox throughout this video, I'm also recording on all of my camera views at the same time. So if something doesn't match what you see going on with the unit, it's just to showcase exactly what's happening on screen from a different point of view. If you're unfamiliar with the YoloBox line of live streaming products, I'll give you a quick rundown of what this thing can do. The Extreme, like prior units, is designed to replace the need for any standard live streaming solution, which would usually include like a switcher, a monitor, computer, and encoder. While this is heavier than a conventional iPad or a tablet due to all the ports and internal active cooling, it only weighs in at around 1,500 grams, which is lighter than the combined weight of a standard setup. This is a standalone tablet-sized touchscreen unit designed to stream to multiple services at the same time, without the learning curve of using open broadcaster software or some of the limitations that come along with it. Unlike conventional live switches, this can run completely on battery, which allows you to use this in situations where something like an A10 Mini or a conventional switcher might struggle without being hardwired into an AC socket on the wall, for example. It also works on Wi-Fi, Ethernet, and over 4G straight out of the box. I'll cover what's new and then we'll take a look at how the YoloBox Extreme works. Now, just note, I've just moved house and that entire process is stressful and time consuming, and I've only had this in my hands for the last few days. So consider this a first look and general overview of the YoloBox Extreme rather than a deep dive review due to the fact I've only been using it for a few days as of now. I'll no doubt post a follow-up video to this talking about how this performs once I have a bit more experience with it. So if you're interested in that, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, and drop a thumbs up if you can. All right, here we go. At the time of producing this video, the YoloBox Extreme is priced at $2,000 US, so it's right up there in terms of price. But again, this will do a lot of things that standard switches can't do, and I'll walk you through that in this video. Thanks to YoloLiv for sending out this pre-release version to the channel. I really appreciate it. If you want to check this out, I'll link it down in the pinned comment. Now, this video will be quite long because there's a lot to cover. And if you want to skip ahead, back or forth, there'll be a table of contents down in the description box. Let me give you a quick hardware overview of this particular unit because the YoloBox Extreme is extremely powerful, pun intended. Anyway, let's get into it. So we've got 8 HDMI inputs on the back. Now the first 3 are 1080p 60p compatible, and the last 5 are all 4K 60p compatible, which is awesome. Now you can just choose to use the 4K ones if you want, and that's what I've decided to use. So you can see the first 3 on the back here are not getting used, but the 3 next to it are. So I've got 3 camera sources hooked up to this right now, and I can do quick switching either via the YoloDeck, or I can just tap on screen here to switch nice and fast. There's 2 HDMI outputs which can be used for either program or multi-view, and we get this beautiful 11.2-inch OLED display. The HDMI outputs support 4K as well, which is a nice touch. This display has a resolution of 2.5K with 1000 nits brightness, so you won't have any issues seeing it in most shooting situations. To improve wireless connectivity, if you use this over Wi-Fi, we get 2 removable Wi-Fi antennas which just click into place on the side. Just to let you know too, I ran a couple of speed tests with and without these just to see how it performed over the network, and there was an increase in bandwidth with these connected with the unit in exactly the same spot, so that's great. This YoloBox Extreme can record, stream, and capture all at 4K, which is really impressive. These have come so far since the original one I reviewed many years ago, which is cool. Now, the Extreme can also support ISO recording up to 4K at 30p. Let's do a quick video comparison test now between my S5 Mark II X and the internal recording on the YoloBox Extreme, which is being recorded to a little Samsung SSD over here. And this is one of the great things about it. You can record directly to a drive like this, connect it up to a computer, and you're ready to start editing. One of the nice upgrades with the YoloBox Extreme is that the touch functionality feels very fast. Whether I'm using a custom mode like this or just switching between shots or inputs, It's all very responsive. It almost feels like a mobile phone now in terms of just how responsive the end result is. I can set up a picture-in-picture. It will come up on screen instantly, go back to my primary camera, and so forth. Now, if you're using the YoloDeck over here, which is a little switcher as well that allows you to sort of customize all of the settings here, you get the same exact response. So it's great. You can just use all of your custom settings on the YoloDeck to switch between scenes just as easily. The Extreme also supports 6 NDI inputs, which means you can bring video in from other sources, like someone being added remotely for a live stream or podcast. Battery life is rated between 5 and 7 hours of streaming with a full charge, and unlike other live streaming solutions, you're not just stuck streaming with this hardwired to the wall. Speaking of power, this will run indefinitely on a USB-C power delivery charger, and there's a USB-C charger in the box with various global AC socket connections. Excluding Australia, it's always the way. So right now I'm just using my own USB-C power delivery, and it's working fine. The charge on the unit hasn't dropped below 100%. The processor in the YoloBox Extreme is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, which is rated at 1.8 times more powerful than the Ultra. While I have no way of testing the CPU performance for myself, what I can tell you is it's not even struggling using 3 of these 4K inputs. I'm at 38% CPU. I'm using 2 HDMI outputs. I have recording set up, and it's doing all of this without any problems whatsoever. The Extreme also supports Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.3. Let me cover all the inputs and outputs, and you can see what makes the YoloBox Extreme pretty special. We get 8 HDMI inputs. The first 3, as I mentioned earlier, are 1080p 60 maximum, and the other 5 support 4K at 60p. You can just use inputs 4 to 8 if you want to stream or capture in 4K, and that's what I'm doing right now. We get both a dedicated mic input and line input, which both use the 3.5mm audio connectors. The first USB-C port is for input sources, and the second is used only for charging. The opposite side down here has our headphone output. We've also got an SD card and SIM card slot. We get a single 1/4-20 screw point right in the center, and our power button and standby button is located on the right-hand side. One of the standouts with the YoloBox Extreme is this touchscreen display. As I've already showcased, it's nice and responsive, but it's also very easy to see on an angle like this, which is awesome. Let me showcase a little bit about how this works. So as I've already showcased, you can switch between your input sources just by tapping on screen or using the YoloDeck over here. Now, I've also set up a side-by-side. So as you can see, I've got a true side-by-side with a nice gradient background effect. I set up a picture-in-picture option, which I think looks really cool. And this is great if you're doing tutorials, gaming, or whatever, where you want to have one shot smaller on screen, and you can fully change the position and size of it nice and simply as well. And then I've got a 3-option or 3-view on screen. And this was all done with the presets. I didn't have to do anything with this one. I just set up what I wanted, and that was it. And I'll show you how to do that right now. So if I go into the plus option over here, you can see the multi-view options that come up on screen. I'm just going to tap on this 3 views one. I'm going to tap all 3. I'm going to go done. And that is it. So we can change the border color and all that, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. And it will bring it up as a new option on screen. So as I tap it, that's it. How easy is that? It's so much easier than some of those standard sort of analog switches, for example. You can just go in and change it. And now I've got that as a scene that I can recall nice and simply. I can go back to this one. I can go back to that one. If you're doing a 3-person podcast, this would be an awesome option. Let me show you a few of the graphic overlays that I've set up here. So you can bring up lower thirds like this one. This is one that I fully customized. Tap it again, it will go away. I've also got them set up on a timer. So if I leave this one on screen, it will go away after 10 seconds, and you can fully customize the position of these, which is great. And I've also got a little title that I put up, and you, again, can fully customize all of this. I'll hit the plus button on screen over here, and you can see all of the different options that come up. So we've got plenty of different things to choose from. I'm just going to show you a different lower third here, and we're going to do maybe this one over here. Now you can see that it's on the top left-hand side. I can just use my finger and drag it around wherever I like. Actually, it's kind of cool up there, just something a little bit different. I won't bother changing the text right now for the sake of the video, but you can just enter your text in on screen where it says title and subtitle. And then you can basically change the size of the text as well, nice and simply like this. And you can, of course, use the auto hide button. So after 10 seconds, it will auto hide. So now if we go back into the screen, you can see that we've got a new lower thirds, and there it is. It's an upper thirds, I guess, in this particular case, and it will turn itself off in 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1. There it goes. Awesome. Another cool thing here is the timer. You can fully set the duration of this. So say you want to go live in 10 minutes or an hour or whatever the case may be, you can set it up, and then when you're ready to go, you can either just let it expire or simply tap it again and you're back to your primary camera source. If you're playing esports or real sports for that matter, there's also a scoreboard option here, just on this one-to-one thing here. You can turn on the scoreboard display, move it around, customize the size, all that kind of stuff. It's really easy to bring up a score on screen, which is great. You can also change the periods here. So say, for example, you're playing quarters, or if you're playing halves, you can set it up accordingly. All right, let's talk about the audio options. So if we go into the audio tab, tapping the speaker on screen, you can see that we've got all of these configurations. Now, depending on which camera you plug in first will determine the order of the HDMI path here. So you can see that it says 5, 6, and 4. If I plugged in 4 first, then that would be at the top of this list, but no big deal. And you can see that I've got that option on, and the headphone icon is on. So if I'm using headphones or someone else is using headphones, then they're going to be able to hear just that microphone. Now, if you want to blend between different microphones, you can turn on, say, HDMI 6 on if someone else is using a mic like this hooked up to a camera. And this is great. It gives you full audio flexibility and customization when it comes to levels. And just a quick tip for beginners, I would leave AFV off, and that's audio follows video, which means as I switch scenes or inputs here, the audio isn't going to switch. And you can see on screen that it's stuck on HDMI input number 4, which is my primary camera source. And this is great. It means that it's not going to switch every time I switch options. I've got HDMI 4 on, and that's it. And that's what I want if I'm a solo content creator. The YoloBox Extreme also supports Chroma Key Support. So if you're a gamer or online reaction channel and you sit in front of a green screen, then this will be able to remove the background for you. One of my favorite powerful features with this is the fact you can invite guests into this and share them with your stream, and they can connect either via a mobile phone or browser. Now, you can send a link to yourself and then forward that to the person you want to send it to, or you have the option to type in their email address at the time of invite. This is really cool, and if you do live shows where people are going to be joining, this is a no-brainer. Additionally, you can connect up to 5 PTZ cameras and switch between different angles and views. Now, I don't own any PTZ cameras to test this feature, but if you're a pan-tilt zoom camera user, you'll be in business. Auto switching is another powerful feature that allows the YoloBox to cycle through all of your different inputs or the inputs that you choose. As you can see on screen here, I've got input 4, 5, and 6 connected. And then when I go back over here, I can hit Start Auto Switch. And then after 10 seconds or so, it should start switching for you automatically. And I'm just going to let it run here to see how it goes. You can see on screen also that there's a disable option. So if I want to turn this off, you can just simply shut it down by tapping on screen. Again, this is great. This is kind of reminiscent of how TV studios work, where the cameras will auto switch and someone is just looking at the first camera, or of course, someone like Peter Gregg. Remote support is also officially supported with the YoloBox Extreme, where you can either connect to this via a browser or phone. Now, I don't know if it's just my new network here at this new place or what, but I'm unable to connect to it. This is maybe the only bug I've noticed with it so far. It could just be this version. It could be pre-release firmware. I'm not too sure. Let's talk about the YoloLiv YoloDeck over here. So this is basically a Stream Deck kind of thing where you can just set up different presets and configurations based on your needs. And again, I've got it set up so I can switch from it, which is awesome. I can do my side-by-side just by using this. And this really takes out the complication of having to look at the switcher and make adjustments like this. This is much more kind of like distracting for a viewer over someone who's just using that, for example, right? It's a lot less distracting, and you can, of course, have this out of shot if you prefer. Now, I've got it set up so auto switch will be enabled if I want it. I've got featured comments, hide comments. I've got the record option. I could go live. You can set this up in a million different ways thanks to the menu system of the unit. Now, if you want to set up the YoloDeck, all you have to do is go up to the settings icon over here and scroll down to YoloDeck configuration. And then you can basically just drag and drop some of these sources in and replace things that are there. So it's very intuitive. Without question, this is one of the most impressive integrations with a piece of hardware that I've used. I really like this, and if I'm going live, this is coming with me. All right, let's wrap this up, and I'll share with you my first impressions review here of the YoloBox Extreme. And while I've only had limited time with this so far, I'm really impressed. I wish it came with some sort of stand so it didn't sit flat on the desk like this, but it is what it is, right? It's definitely a minor critique at best. This is slightly too heavy for something like a Manfrotto Pixie tripod as well, especially once you have all the cables, so you'll need a more robust solution if you plan on mounting this vertically. Now, while the YoloBox Extreme supports fast charging, my only critique is once it's at 100%, the fans still stay on. So this means if you plug it in overnight, you come back the next day, the fans are still going to be spinning around. I don't really love this feature, and I hope that can be addressed on a future firmware update. Now, speaking of fan noise, when you're actually using this unit, it's not loud at all. It's only when it's charging you really hear the fans ramp up. It's not too hot in here or anything like that, so the fan may run a little louder in certain situations. I'm recording on my Pearl Nano over here, and this has a much louder fan 100% of the time than this. I can't even hear this in the room. Thanks to the audio options here, this would work great for podcasting or gaming or just simple live streaming or recording in this type of fashion. Now, just know I can't find any sort of compressors or EQs or anything like that. So the audio that you're feeding into it is the audio that will be going out of it. I also love having each individual channel recorded separately, or of course you can just record the program or all of them. This is great if you plan on using some of those camera angles later in post-production, maybe in a separate edit. Again, coming up, I'm going to test this out for a few live streams on my channel. Now that I've got a dedicated room set up, I plan on going live a little bit more here on the Geeky Nerdy Techie YouTube channel. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see those live streams and tests, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell. I'm going to do one not long after this video will go live, and if it's in the future, I'll link that stream somewhere up in the cards. Thanks again for watching. My name's Shane, and I will catch you on the next one. See ya.